Okay. Hello and welcome everyone to the course Industrial Robotics and Automation. In today's session or in today's class, we'll continue with the practice problems related to electro-pneumatic circuit design. In fact, this would be the final session, okay, for your module electro-pneumatic or your electro-hydraulic circuit design. Fine. So straight away we'll be starting our this practice session. On the FluidSim software applications. Okay, so those who all have installed these softwares, you also just please open the application for the software and we'll start with the practice problem. Fine. Okay, I hope my FluidSim screen is visible. Okay, so fine. So let us start with the problem on my automatic reciprocating of a double acting cylinder. Fine. With the help of our your proximity sensors. Fine. So first, to make a pneumatic circuit, okay, we'll be taking a compressed air, okay, and then we'll be taking a double acting cylinder. Fine. And what else we'll be taking here? If it is a uh, electro-pneumatic circuit, okay, and for that we are making the pneumatic portion. Anyone? For the double acting cylinder, what do we require? Which type of valve? By now you should be knowing, I believe. So we'll be requiring a 5x2 way double solenoid valve. Okay. Fine. So we just connect these ends of the double acting cylinder to the two ports of the 5x2 double solenoid valve, and we name these, we give these labels to the solenoid as 1 Y1, okay, and 1 Y2. Fine. For this, and next what we will also do, we will just put the actuating labels for our sensors. Okay, so that would be our 1B1 to detect the retracted position of the cylinder, okay, and 1B2, fine, to detect the completely extended position of the this double acting cylinder. Fine, and I complete this by connecting my pressurized line of this 5x2 port, okay, to my compressed air. Fine. So this is your pneumatic portion. Let us now try to draw the electrical circuit diagram for the same, following the all the conventions that we had used, okay, or we had studied for an electrical circuit diagram. Okay, so the convention says all your output elements will be placed below, okay, such as your actuation of your relays and your solenoid valves, okay, and then all your signal processing and signal control elements will be placed to the left hand side of the circuit, as well as your final, that is your main circuit, okay, that is actuation of your solenoid valves in this case will be placed to the extreme right position of your circuit diagram. Fine. So for that, okay, and what we will do, we'll start with our all the sensors first. Okay, so first we'll make the connection for the sensors, right? And for each output, since we'll be actuating it with our indirect control, we'll be using relays for uh, each sensor's output. Fine, this is the first relay, so I'll name it as K1. Okay, and then similarly this sensor would be labeled as 1B1, right? And then you will be having your second type of sensor here. This is also the another one, but should will be this named as 1B2, okay, to detect your completely extended position of this cylinder. And then again you will be giving one supply line to this, okay, and one ground. Fine, and then again you will be also requiring one relay to detect its output signal whenever it detects something at its proximity. Fine, and this relay will be named as K2. Right. Now, what next? This was only my sensor evaluation part. That means whatever will be the number of sensors. For example, if say you had 4 to 5 cylinders, and in each cylinders you have say 2 sensors. Okay. So and that would amount to around 8 to 10 your sensors. So all the sensors first will be placing it to your left hand side of the electrical control units. Okay, and you'll be attaching a output a relay for each output, okay, to that many sensors. Okay, after this is done, then you'll be coming back to your actual circuit, which says that when I'm pressing a control switch, okay, when I'm switching it on, okay, then my this double acting cylinder should start oscillating in a continuous manner. Okay, that means it should make a to and fro, or it should start reciprocating continuously until I do not switch it off. Fine. So same circuit in the last class I had also shown you with the use of limit switches. Okay, that was your roller valve type of switches. And the same thing I'm trying to show you using our proximity sensors also. Okay. So again, now we require a detent switch. Fine. Right, and with this switch we'll use another relay here. Okay, so that will name it as K3. Fine. Now what should be the condition for my cylinder to extend? Okay, when this switch is pressed, okay, and my 1B1 sensor is actually locating that it is there in the retracted position, then my cylinder should start extending. Okay, so that means I will make use of 2 make switches. Fine. Okay, and this would energize my valve solenoid, okay, for my cylinder to extend. Okay. So what should be the name of these? 1 minute. Fine. Sure. What should be the relay? So one I should have my K1 relay here, and the other one I should have my. This is my K1. Okay. What should be my another condition for extending my 1y1 valve here? So one is your K1, the other one should be your K3. Okay, that means when this control switch is pressed on, my K3 relay will get actuated. So this should be a make contact, okay, of my K3 relay here. Fine. So both when both these conditions are true, my 1y1 will get actuated, and this will result in my cylinder to extend. Okay, the moment cylinder reaches its completely extended position, my one B2 proximity sensor would trigger, and that would energize my relay K2. Okay, and hence from K2 I will have to actuate my 1y2 valve. Okay, so I will take another solenoid valve here, name it as 1y2. Fine, and I will be also using another make switch here. Fine, and what should be the labeling of this make switch here? Anyone? What should be the labeling? K2. Yes, good. So this should be K2.
But when it is a proximity switch, without touching it, how it means when it's limited, the difference between proximity and limit is that one is when the object is when the cylinder touches that particular
Yeah.
wall.
So in
But
the
in case of proximity, it is just nearby.
yeah, it is nearby. So the entire switching is actually non-contact type. So this you must have studied during your sensors, right?
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah. So ultimately it will give a signal, but that signal will be obtained by without any having any contact, right?
Okay.
But ultimately you'll be getting a signal, no? So that signal is actually captured by this K2 relay. Fine.
Okay, but when the cylinder is moving, will it not obstruct? I mean, because are we stopping the cylinder at any at a point at just before the proximity?
No,
Then
see,
will
the
we
actually in this case, now proximity sensors are applied over the cylinder. Fine. So if you see the piston is there. So piston is moving. So when the piston retracts back, okay, that means the piston is actually touching your cylinder wall, and that sensor is placed on top of the wall. Okay. So that means even at the distance you can set. If it is a magnetic type, okay, then it again it is, because I told you your sensors either it can be your this capacitive, magnetic, okay, inductive, all these types. So suppose it is a magnetic one, and when your piston rod actually moves back, the moment it comes near to that of the sensor, then again this would get actuated, right? So in this case, these type of sensors work. Fine.
so basically the proximity is placed just at the top of the cylinder.
Yeah, at the top.
So it's
This is the exact location.
It has to place on the line on the same
Right.
on the same plane.
If the limit switch will be there, it will be placed like this.
Okay, just on the line, it will obstruct it.
Yeah, of course. That roller valve will come into the line of your piston rod. Okay, so that whenever piston rod comes, it has to go and hit that. Otherwise, see, if there is no contact, then your limit switch will not give any output, right? Because that is a contact type of this. However, in case of your proximity sensor, you do not have to make any contact. It can be just placed over the cylinder here itself. Fine.
So, what type of
proximity switch are we using here?
This one is our capacitive here. So this symbol, if you see, yeah, this no symbol, if you, I'm just zooming it. If you see, this is a symbol of a capacitive, and hence this is a capacitive.
Okay.
Right.
And sir, one more question. What is the difference between a push button and a detain switch? You said this is a detain switch.
Yeah, see, if you see the symbol here, no?
Huh.
Push button, and see, this is a detent switch here. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Detent switch is just like your normal switches at your home. It will maintain its position. Once you switch on, suppose you are switching on the light, okay, it will be retentive in nature. Fine. Even if you just remove the actuating force, it will keep its position there. Fine. Until you do not switch it off. Fine.
This process will be repeating in nature. No? Because
Yes,
it
yes.
switches.
Yeah, that was I told you. It will be a completing oscillating movement. Okay. So now let us just try to simulate this. Fine. So see, initially, what does this red line shows? That current is flowing through this, and if you see, when the cylinder is in its retracted position, your 1B1 proximity sensors will actually remain actuated, and hence your K1 relay will get actuated, resulting in my K1 contact, okay, the open contact of K1 to get actuated. If you see, this was a K1 contact, right? So just see here, right now it was open. The moment I start the simulation, that means now you have current flowing through it. Okay, then your 1B1 gets actuated, and hence your K1 would remain closed. Fine. This open contact. Okay. Now, when I am going to press this, let us do step by step. When I am pressing this switch, that means now my K3 gets actuated. Now this will get closed. Okay, this K3 contact. Okay, I did not do it step by step. So this was it. Pressing my detent switch. This energizes my K3 relay. Now with this K3 again, if you see, this contact of K3 closes, resulting in my 1Y1 valve solenoid to get actuated. Fine. Now this 1Y1 will actually shift this spool this side, and hence your cylinder would start extending. Fine. Now see, the moment the cylinder has extended, okay, what has happened? Your 1B1 was, which was sensing your completely retracted position. Now cylinder is no more in proximity of your 1B1. Okay, that means now this sensor, if you see, there is no output signal from this here. Okay, now the cylinder has extended. Okay, the moment it is completely extended, your 1B2 gets triggered. Fine. And then with that 1B2, your K2 gets triggered. From this K2, your 1Y2 solenoid will get actuated, and hence this will retract back. Fine. Now see, when it has retracted back, again, since this is your detentive switches, okay, it will remain closed. The moment it has retracted back, again your K3, okay, will get closed. Fine, and again it will result in the extension of the cylinder, and so this motion will continue. Fine. So if we just press this, you see it is a continuous oscillating motion. Okay. So this we have done it using the sensors. In the last class I had shown you using the limit switch itself. Okay. Now again, in the electro-pneumatic problem, we had done the last problem for our control of two cylinders. Sorry, in the pneumatic section, we had done control of the two cylinders, where we had said, first my cylinder 1A moves, then my cylinder 2A moves, okay, and then both retracts back at the same time. Okay, just try to draw the electropneumatic circuit for the same. Okay, so the question is, you have two double acting cylinders. Okay, when you press a push button, okay, then your cylinder 1A extends. Okay, when it has completely extended, only then your 2A extends. Fine, that is your second cylinder, and once the second cylinder is completely extended, then both retracts at the same time. Okay, so we had done the pneumatic circuit for the same. Now just try to implement the same using your electropneumatic control. Okay, and tell me where the difference will be. Okay, so first let us start with your pneumatic circuit diagram. Fine, so since you have two cylinders, that I'll make it easy for you, two double acting. So I'm having another double acting cylinder here.
So where do we feed the time, sir? In the problems which you were doing in pneumatic, there was like time equal to 0.4 seconds. So where exactly we feed those data?
No, see, that extension of the cylinder in retractor, that will not come here. That time will still be controlled by the flow control valve here.
Okay.
Right. However, your time delay valve that was placed, okay, to delay in your to give a delay in your pneumatic signal, that can be placed here using a time delay relay. Fine, yeah. But the speed of the cylinder and all those things, still you will be requiring your one-way flow control valve here. Okay.
Flow control of the speed.
Yeah, that would be requiring. Okay, so this is there. Now you will be requiring fine. So what should be the labeling here? It should be 2Y1. Okay, and then your this valve should be 2Y2. Fine, and then it will close here. And then you will also have 2B1 and then 2B2. Fine, so this will be your pneumatic portion. You all just try to draw the electrical portion of the diagram. So the question says, first by pressing a, say, let us have a control switch itself in the diagram. Okay, fine. So when you press a control switch and you also have your cylinder 1, okay, at its completely retracted position, okay, that means you are ensuring that these two conditions are to be met. Okay, only then your cylinder 1A extends. When cylinder 1A has completely extended, then again cylinder 2A will extend. Okay, and once 2A has completely extended, then both will retract back at the same time. Okay, so I told you first will be what? All your sensor evaluation part, right? So let us first try to implement all our sensor evaluation. How many sensors are there? So we'll just try to make all those things here. Fine. So you have one B1, one B2, and then similarly you are going to have your third sensor here, that is 2B1, right? Okay, this would be relay K3, and then you are going to have your fourth sensor here, that will be your 2B2. And this relay will be your K4 relay. Fine. So first, this is known as your sensor evaluation part. You have connected all the sensors, okay, to the relays. Fine. Now you have to make the logic, okay, for the output actuation. Fine. So you are going to also have another circuit here. Right, and this relay will be my K5. Okay. Further now we will come to the final circuit diagram control element. Okay, that is your actuation of 1y1, 1y2, 2y1 and 2y2. Okay, so what should be the condition for your extension of your cylinder 1A? Cylinder 1A, that is the first cylinder, will get extended by your actuation of solenoid valve 1y1. Okay, so what should be the condition for your 1y1 to get actuated? What?
Both K1, K2, K3 active.
No, is it K3 now? Just see this. Now just see the relays. These are actually wrongly numbered.
Okay.
Tell me now, what should come here? First, your control switch should be pressed. That means your K5 should be on, right? So that means K5 will come here, and then I told you the cylinder 1 should also be at its retracted position. That means your K1 relay should also be actuated. When both these conditions are met, okay, fine. So when both these conditions are met, your 1y1 will get actuated. Okay. Now once 1y1 is actuated, this cylinder will extend and reach its end position. Okay. Now the question says, when this cylinder 1 has completely extended, only then your cylinder second should extend. That means what should be your condition for the extension for the second cylinder?
One B2 active.
Good. That means 1B2, there should be an output from the 1B2. That means your K2 relay. Okay, that means an open contact of a K2 relay will control Fine, and this will be your 2y1.
But for this pneumatic circuit, we will not connect any pilot directional valve between the interconnection like we did in pneumatic circuit.
No, we are no. So the pneumatic portion will only consider these valves and your these compressed line as well as your actuators. Fine. Let us see how it will work. You will understand much better. Okay. So see now again, this is your only condition. For example, when your cylinder 1 has completely extended, only then your cylinder 1 2 extends. Okay. However, you can also apply one more condition here. Safety condition. Fine. What can that condition be? That cylinder 2 is also at its completely retracted position. Okay. So when cylinder 2 is in its completely retracted position and your cylinder 1 has completely extended, okay, this should be the condition for your extension of your cylinder 2. That means your 2B1 is actually your K3 relay. Okay. So K3 will come here. Okay. So this is an optional here. You can ensure that this circuit is executed with this K3 also. You can directly do with K2 also. Okay. So what I have done, I have included another open contact of relay K3. Okay. So with this my solenoid valve 2y1 gets actuated. Fine. Now after 2y1 will get actuated, then my cylinder 2 will extend. Okay. And when it has completely extended, then my 2B2, okay, that is this proximity sensor will get triggered, and hence my K4 relay will get energized. Okay. Now once this cylinder is completely extended, then both the cylinders should retract at the same time. That means what should be your condition for your 1y2 and 2y2 to get actuated?
सर K2 और K4 दोनों ही होना चाहिए सर, मतलब सेंसिंग होना चाहिए relay.
No, it will be sensed by 2B2, that is K4 na. So from
सर फर्स्ट सिलेंडर की तो एक्सटेंडिंग पोजीशन होना चाहिए सर.
no, see that you have already ensured, since this has extended, okay, only then this extended. Okay,
Okay,
now to retract back, only one condition is that the moment your second cylinder reaches this completely extended position, both can retract, right? So that means your K4, okay, that means you are going to use this relay here K4. Okay, so with K4 what you are going to do, so this valve will be your 1y2. Okay, that means you have to retract actually both the cylinders. Fine, just let me shift the entire circuit a bit more towards the left so that you can be able to see it. Fine, so this is there, and either you can make a parallel connection here or you can just copy this entire circuit. And this can be written as 2y2. Fine. Is the last circuit part visible to you? I don't know whether it is coming to your screen or not. Is it okay? This one? Fine. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So this will be your control circuit. Fine. So let us see. Okay, let us just try to simulate it step by step. So see, initially which two sensors should give output? Your 1B1 and 2B1. Why? Because initially both your cylinder is at the retracted position. Okay, so 1B1 senses your retracted position of your first cylinder, and 2B1, okay, that is this sensor here, senses your retracted position of your second cylinder. Fine. So what does the question say? When the cylinder is in its retracted position, okay, and you are pressing your control switch, okay, then your cylinder 1 should move forward. Okay, now you see what will be the condition. So yeah, so there is some problem here. So you have your K1 and then your K3. You are pressing a switch 1 to your K5.
So the control switch is the enter that switch will be manually pushed.
I have pushed that.
No, but that will not be interlocked with 1Y1 and 2Y1, like connection in pneumatic, sir. Like,
Which switch? What are you saying?
so the control switch, no? That,
This control switch.
This, where exactly is there in the pneumatic?
No, this switch will not be there in the pneumatic. Na? Why will this input element be in the pneumatic portion? For a pneumatic portion, actually you have these type of valves. If you see, this is your this is your input element for a pneumatic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, because see in your pneumatic section, what is your all your control elements? What are you controlling? You are actually controlling your pilot line, right? So that means when you are pushing this, you have your pneumatic signal here that flows. Okay, so in case of pneumatic and hydraulic, your signals is itself your pressure lines. However, here your signals are not pressure line, because by see final, how are these valves going to get actuated? These valves are going to get actuated through your electrical signals right now, because you have your solenoid valves at the end of these two valves. Okay, so how will the solenoid get controlled? The solenoid will get controlled through electrical part. So that means all your logics will come to your electrical portion. Are you getting me? So see, this is the same thing here. What you are saying, na? So this actually switch in case of an electro-pneumatic, or this control switch or your push button switch is actually your this valve in case of your pneumatic, right? Because ultimately through all this, suppose you had two switches, okay, through these two switch and your one roller valve. Suppose I'm trying to simulate the same circuit, okay, that means you require one switch and one roller valve to actuate this. Okay, so what you would do in case of a pneumatic circuit?
And gate and the shuttle one.
Exactly. So what you will do, you will take this two. Okay, so this would be named as your 1S1. Okay, so both these connections, and then you will be taking it a shuttle valve here, right? So that means you are going to combine this and this, okay, and then finally where you are going to feed these two? You are going to feed these to 5/2 double solenoid, not solenoid, double pilot operated, right? So suppose if I have this valve here,
5/2.
okay, so that means your signal will come here. Fine.
Yes,
So when you are pressing this push button valve and your 1S1 roller valve, which is also giving what type of signal here? This is your pneumatic signal, right? So this is also a pneumatic signal. So you have these two valves. When both are pressed, you have your pneumatic signals coming from these two ends, okay, and then finally you have your pneumatic signal that is actually shifting the spool, right? And which would again lead to the extension of your double acting cylinder. Fine, because after this you have a double acting cylinder also here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just now see, just draw this, just compare this to your this part. Okay,
Yes.
so now with this type of push button, you are actually actuating a relay K5. Okay,
Yes,
so this K5 is here, this is in series. Okay, so this
Yeah, that is AND gate.
yeah, this is an AND gate. Sorry, I just missed it. This should be your AND gate here. That is your dual pressure.
Dual pressure, sorry, not pressure. Yes.
Yeah,
That is
so
all.
fine. So this is what we are actually trying to implement in this portion.
Yes, sir.
Are you getting my point? See, your K1, where is your K1 coming from? Your 1B1. 1B1 is sensing your what? End position, which is actually sensed by your 1S1. Okay, and then you have your switch here, your 3 by 2 push button valve, that is actually getting sensed by K5 relay here, right? Because whenever you are pressing this push button or my control switch, my K5 is getting actuated. Both K1 and K5 is in series. Okay, that means you are implementing an AND logic here. That would result in your 1y1 getting actuated. Okay, and where is 1y1 here? So the moment you get an electrical signal here, that means now this spool will shift and your cylinder will move forward. Got it? Did you get the logic now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine. So this is where your actual difference comes out to be from if you compare it to your electro-pneumatic and your pneumatic alone. So that means in pneumatic we are actually all playing with your pneumatic pressure itself is a signal, right? That is why at the end when you do all the processing of all the pneumatic signals, finally how do you extend the cylinder? By your pilot operated valve, right? So that means finally you have your pilot operated valve here, which actually is used to shift this spool and then your cylinder extends, right? And here in the electrical signal you have your solenoid valve, right? So after all the electrical signals are processed through different type of logic that you do here, finally you are actually supplying a output current to the solenoid valve here, and then the spool shifts and your cylinder extends. Got it?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we are using proximity just for understanding. We can do the same activity with lead switch also, sir.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, both the limits. I am just showing you the difference because see, a proximity actually completely shifting to your electrical one, right?
Yes, sir.
So even if you are using the proximity, what type of output are you getting? You are getting electrical output itself. You are not getting any pressure. For example, see this roller valve will give you a what? Pneumatic signal, isn't it? Whereas your proximity switch, it will actually give you either 24 volt or a 0 volt. Okay. So whenever something is detected, it is only the switch and sensor is because of the manual contact or the proximity contact, right? That is why it is named as your switch and your sensor. Of course, both of them are giving electrical signal itself, right?
So, but in case of electropneumatic, only thing if the cylinder is very high and the rod is very high in diameter, the compressor strength will be probably increased. Otherwise, like
No, why will the compressor strength? Compressor is not shifting the spool.
no, but if suppose this is a normal cylinder, now if rod dia is suppose 50 meter,
Yes.
not 5 meter,
Yes.
then in that case the same you will not have the same direction control.
Yes, so we are not going to have the same direction control valve, but at that time, see, very good question. But how are you actually shifting these valves? Are you shifting it with the cylinder pressure, or you are shifting it with through electrical voltage? How are you shifting this valve? Spool.
The spool we are shifting with solenoid valve, one by one by two. Right?
Yeah, solenoid valve. No? So that
Yeah.
means, see, that is why I told you, what was the reason for indirect actuation? Because see, all these systems are working in 24 volt, right? So right now I am showing a 24 volt connection here. However, when you are using a relay, okay, the relay I told you it can also have another contact. Relay, what it does, it just actually just energizes your armature coil. Okay. However, your all these contacts, K1, K3, they can actually run on a different line, right? So you can use a 224 volt connection if your these spools are very big in nature.
Or we can use hydraulic also. The compressor will not be there. Or tank it. Then it will be called electro-hydraulic.
Right, exactly. Then it would be instead of the compressor, if you have your pump and the motor arrangement, then this is known as electro-hydraulic. Otherwise, it is known as electro-pneumatic. Why? Because your electrical portion will remain same in that case. Nothing will change, even if a system changes. Similarly, in that case, it is pneumatic or your hydraulic. Although your valves, your all the symbols for all the valves and all those will be same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, fine. So we were there in this circuit. Okay, then you have your K1 and your K3. Okay, these connections are not made proper. Okay, since I've actually copied the same circuit, so all this thing I have to change. Okay, so technically these are all getting superimposed. Fine, now I think it should work. Yes. So right now, if you just do a step-by-step simulation, so when you are pressing this, okay, then now your K1 and K5, both of them are true, so your 1Y1 will get actuated. Okay, now with this 1Y1, your cylinder 1A will extend. Okay, you see the cylinder 1 extend. The moment it will be completely extended, your 1B2, okay, yeah, that is your this sensor here, will get triggered. Fine. See, it has got triggered. Now your K2 relay is energized, and hence your K2 contact, open contact of K2 is here, which will result in energizing your 2Y1 valve. Okay, solenoid valve. So that means your 2Y1 gets energized, and hence your second cylinder starts to extend. Okay, now the moment a cylinder 2 has completely extended, then your 2B2, that is your this sensor will get actuated, and hence your K4 relay is actuated. From this K4, both my 1/2 and 2/2 is connected. Okay, so it would shift the again spool both to the right envelope, and hence your both the cylinder will retract back. Okay, and this will continue since this is a switch I am using here, so this will continue. Okay, the signal flow you can see here with the red lines.
So
Right?
what will happen if we interchange 1/2 and 2/2 while making the circuit diagram?
Yes.
We place 2/2 before 1/2, for example. Will that have any impact?
No, if I place it before it, it will have no impact. Okay, why? Because see, these circuits are actually running only when it is making a contact now. But why I placed it? Since I have done it in the order of the extension of the cylinders. Right now, even if you place this part of the circuit, that is 1Y2 and 2Y2 here, okay, and then place the actuation of 1Y1 and 2Y1 after this, still no issue.
And then if we are forced to use that, don't use normally open, try to use normally closed loop in the circuit. So that is possible. So like if we wanted to make when to use normally closed and when to use normally open. Right now we are using all as normally open.
Yeah, you can just like an example in the pneumatic example I had said na, ki, for example the cylinder is already extended, okay, and then you have to close, okay. So say in this case here
1B2.
yes, 1B2 na, these pressure sensors na, the same thing here. The it was known as your positive displacement as well as your positive switching and negative switching, right? So remember in the pneumatic I had showed you that since we are using a normally closed valve, okay, so initially your cylinder was extended. The moment your this cylinder 1 extended completely, okay, and this sensor sensed 1B2, then what happened? It closed the circuit and your cylinder retracted back. Okay, so in that case, initially you will have this second cylinder to be extended. The moment the cylinder completely extends, then the cylinder will retract back, right? So in that case, your K1, suppose that this is a K2. In that case, this K2 and K3, okay, that would initially it would energize 2Y1, but the moment this 1B2 is energized, okay, then this would again get de-energized and the cylinder will retract back. Fine. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any queries you have?